Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you back on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Still pinching yourselves, I'm sure, but the battle to advance the agenda now has begun. The president is choosing his people to fill various positions. It looks pretty good to me. But, I've come across a few things here that are really quite shocking to me. I had no idea that these celebrities were being paid to appear at these events by the Harris campaign. Harris campaign, New York Post writes, gave Oprah Winfrey $1 million. Now, she's a billionaire, like she needs $1 million of donors' money, and paid other celebs to appear with her in doomed presidential bid. By Michael Lee, Fox News, actually. Vice President Kamala Harris paid Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions $1 million, just one example of millions the campaign spent on various entertainers during the vice president's failed bid for president. Did you know this, folks? I didn't know it. The Harris campaign paid $1 million to her, according to the report in the Washington Examiner on October 15th, coming after a star-studded town hall that Winfrey hosted for the vice president in September. She also appeared at Harris's final rally in Philadelphia on the eve of election. And the funny thing is, many of these entertainers actually cost them votes. We're going to have at the bottom of this hour the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to give us an update on what's taking place in the House. We're going to have in hour 3, the top of the hour, 8 p.m., our buddy Stephen A. Smith, who I've been watching, has been very articulate about much of this. We're voting for values and integrity, Winfrey said at the rally. We're voting for healing over hate. But Winfrey wasn't the only star the Harris campaign spent money on, with a Washington Examiner report also revealing the campaign spent big on Call Her Daddy podcast. Mr. Producer, could you imagine us being paid to bring people on here? I actually think it's illegal for radio. A source familiar with the matter told the Washington Examiner that the Harris campaign spent 6 figures on building a set for Harris's appearance on the popular Call Her Daddy podcast with host Alex Cooper. Of course, I don't know anything about it. The Examiner wrote, the interview came out in October, was reportedly filmed in a hotel room in Washington. She refused to travel to where these podcasters are, like Rogan and so forth. She just wouldn't do it. 6 figures on building a set. 6 figures in a hotel room. The campaign also spent $20 million on swing state concerts on the eve of the election, according to a report in the New York Post, a sum that could have been more if a planned performance by Alanis Morissette had not been scrapped. I just wonder if the donors think this is okay. The campaign had 7 swing state concerts on Monday, the report noted, including performances by John Bon Jovi in Detroit, Christina Aguilera in Las Vegas, Katy Perry in Pittsburgh, Lady Gaga in Philadelphia, and 2 Chainz's performance at a rally 3 days before the election in Atlanta. That's pretty crazy. The Harris campaign did not immediately respond to a Fox News digital request for comment. I had no idea this was going on. I had no idea this was going on, that they're paying for these entertainers. And again, Oprah Winfrey's a billionaire. $1 million means nothing to her. Seriously. Nothing. And yet, how cheap are these people? Very principled, don't you think? Very principled, they're out there. And they're getting paid big money. It's crazy. Now, let's keep going here. Tom Homan, as you know, he's going to be the Border Czar. Proudly so. He's a fantastic guy. Fantastic. Anna Navarro is on The View. She's a moron in 2 languages. And obviously, the syndicator of The View has no intention of cleaning up that show. In other words, bringing some normal people on there who talk to the American people with respect rather than trashing them. But they have their clapping seals, and apparently that's the niche they're looking for. That's a big enough niche for them. So here's Anna Navarro. I'm just saying these people are never going to change. She's not going to change. None of them are going to change because they don't give a damn. And there's no accountability. Nobody's fired. Nobody's suspended for anything they say or the way they say it. This woman was a Republican. Now she's just a complete nut job. Cut 10. Go.
I mean, it's chilling what he just said. You realize that when he says, yes, families can be deported together, what he is saying...
Excuse me, moron. He said families together because it was asked, Are families going to be split up? And he said, no, families can be deported together. Now, what is wrong with that? If a family's here illegally, they need to be deported. Because what Navarro doesn't say, or nobody else for that matter, once they're here, they're eventually going to get amnesty, and then you have chain migration. Chain migration is really the part that's going to destroy America, as it would any country. We're the only country with chain migration on the whole planet. And that simply means that if you're here, you become a citizen, then you can bring all your relatives in. And I mean distant relatives. You can bring in third cousins and all the rest of it. And I did a piece on this on Fox, and with the help of FAIR, and you could see that people can bring it up to 20, 30, 40 people. Now multiply that times 21 million. The country's over. It means the country's over because assimilation is not going to occur. This is what the Democrats want. They want the complete evisceration of the existing society. They want it replaced. They want to replace with individuals who will vote Democrat and thank them for coming here. And, of course, people will not know the American culture because the American culture will be obliterated. Where are they going to learn it? In our public schools? No. In our colleges and universities? No. On television? No. Nobody teaches it anymore. And so America will cease to exist as it is. It's just a mathematical issue. And Navarro says, oh, he's going to deport whole families. Well, what are you supposed to do? He also said today, to Tom Homan, we're going to start at the top with the worst of the worst, the Venezuelan gangs, MS-13, the criminals, the rapists, the murderers. They're going to go first. And we have Democrat governors who say, we're my dead body. And Homan's response is, if you won't do it, we'll do it for you. So the Democrats actually are okay. And this is their problem. Americans of all backgrounds, all faiths, all colors, all classes, they don't want all these people here. They don't like the way these people came here. We don't need to relitigate the election. Donald Trump just won in a massive landslide in every corner of the country. We need to execute. And if the Democrats don't like it, they need to be steamrollered. Donald Trump gets 4 years and that's it. Go ahead.
Citizens can be deported. What he is saying is if
citizens are not going to be deported, moron. Let's say there's a family and one or two are citizens and the others are not. The citizens are going to have a choice to make. Either they go home with their kids or they stay here and their kids separate. It's up to them. Folks, the people we're talking about came here voluntarily. We didn't put a gun to their head. We didn't enslave them and drag them across the border like the Russians do with the Ukrainians. We didn't do that. The people came here on their own. And the law is the law. And it's time that we have respect for the law, even when it comes to illegal aliens. They decided to come here. They decided to create these issues. We didn't. And then we're supposed to cry over this? You know how else is separated, Mr. Producer? When you arrest somebody, you put them in jail, you convict them. It's a father and mother. They're separated from their children. What about that? Should we separate mothers and fathers from their children if they commit crimes and they're in prison? Yeah, well, that's what happens. It happens. Go ahead.
And they have U.S. citizen children or U.S. citizen spouse, and you don't want to separate them, then let's deport the U.S. citizens. Look, Donald Trump won the electoral vote. He won. He's going to win the House.
Here's what she's lying about. We can't just deport U.S. citizens. It doesn't work that way. The federal government has no authority to deport U.S. citizens, so she's an ignoramus. So let's take the example. Let's come down to earth and deal with reality. If you have two parents and two children, the children are born in the United States, they become citizens. Nobody knows how that happened either. They think, believe it or not, it started with the Social Security Administration in the late 50s, early 60s. But that's not in the Constitution. There's no federal statute that did that. It's just happened. The bureaucrats did it in these departments because it was more efficient. And so now, if individuals are born here, they become U.S. citizens, not by the Constitution. I mean, think about it. If you're an ambassador from Botswana and you come to the United States and you're female and you have a baby here, the child's still a citizen of Botswana. It's not automatically a citizen of the United States. But if people come here and they come here illegally over the border, Say somebody from Botswana, a woman, and she has a child here, that's a citizen based on what? Based on nothing. The Republicans tried to address this, and the Democrats said no. No, they don't want a lawful border. They want a lawless border, and that's what we have. So let's say it's two parents who are here illegally, and their children are here as U.S. citizens. The parents are subject to deportation. Now, they can take their children with them. They have custody of their children. Or they can go, leave the country, and try and come back in an orderly, legal way through a port of entry and apply for citizenship like everybody else. So it doesn't mean they're permanently apart or anything of the kind. And I'll tell you what's interesting, like it or not, the fact that they would have two citizen children here would make it more likely that they would qualify for coming into the United States. So none of this is as the Democrats want you to believe, but they created this situation. Biden, Harris, the Democrat Party, with the clapping seals at The View and the rest of the media. They created this situation. And now their answer to it is, we broke federal immigration law. We did all this. We want chain migration. We want massive amnesty. We want the fundamental transformation of the United States, its culture, its citizenship, and its constitution. We want it. So unless you do what we started, there's something wrong with you. You must be hateful. You must want to destroy families. Really? Tell me, Anna Navarro, in either language, why don't you ever talk about all those women sold into sex slavery? Women of color from all over the world. You like to boast that you're some kind of self-righteous, individual who's worried about human beings. You're not worried about anybody. In fact, you're as dumb as they come, like the rest of the yentas on that stupid show. What about them? How come you've never talked about them? The 325,000 children that now the Trump administration has got to break their asses to try and locate. What about that? Is that humane?